Hello wrestling fans, the Wrestling Wizard here and welcome to Wiz Reviews Raw. I mean, where do I even start when it comes to this week's episode of Monday Night Raw? It seems like WWE were trying to cram as much as they physically could into 3 hours. We saw heel turns, we saw the ring literally explode and break, we saw people creeping in the backstage. In the background, like they always seem to, we saw a return from a certain superstar, and of course we got another QR code. We're going to cover all of that in this video, but before we do that, get down in the comment section, share your thoughts and opinions on this week's show, because I honestly thought this delivered from top to bottom. And we've got to kick things off with the opening segment. What felt like a real feel-good moment. Jey Uso coming out alongside his son, and there was certainly a fan that was very happy to see Jey Uso. I thought Jey Uso was going to slip over the barricade when he made his entrance, but what a speech, what an emotional promo. Jey Uso basically going through all the struggles that he went through to get to this point to capture the Intercontinental title. And I genuinely felt a bit emotional watching this. It was really nice to see him sort of get to that top level in WWE and of course become the new IC champion. A new belt as well, it appears, a slight shake up to the previous. It feels like a combination between the 90s Intercontinental Championship and the recent one. A little bit more blue on there, stands out a little bit more. I think this looks absolutely badass. What do you think? Now, when Bron Breakker came to the ring, because of course he was going to come to the ring, I thought, here we go. There's going to be a cheap shot. There's going to be some trash talk. But no, an absolute swerve I didn't see coming. Potential face turn for a Bron Breakker. It came out and shakes Jey Uso's hand. And then Jey Uso just massively puts him over by saying there's a lot of dogs in the crowd. And I really didn't see that coming. Now, this could be a swerve or this could be a legitimate turn for Bron Breakker. Now, we did see a tease later on in the night between Bron Breakker and Gunther. Bron Breakker staring at that championship and saying that this could be a lot sooner than Gunther imagined. But I don't think this will happen straight away. I think this is just planting seeds, a little Easter egg maybe for the future. But we'll have to wait and see how it unfolds. But I really didn't in a million years see a handshake between Bron Breakker and Jey Uso. But I'm all down for it. Next up, we got a matchup between Rey Mysterio and Xavier Woods. Now, poor old Rey Mysterio. Every time I see Rey Mysterio on a WWE TV, I think one of two things. Either he's going to get screwed, shafted by someone, or he's going to lose. He's going to take the fall. And in this case, a third outcome happened that I didn't think would happen in a million years. Rey Mysterio getting his mask removed via Xavier Woods. Of course, Xavier Woods was going to get the victory via some dirty tactics to seemingly accelerate what is surely going to be a pending heel turn from Xavier Woods. Cheeky, dirty, nasty tactic by removing Rey Mysterio's mask to then get the schoolboy roll-up pin, the most devastating maneuver in WWE history to get the victory. And it just gets a little bit of heat on Xavier Woods. Certainly fans are not warming to this current version of Xavier Woods. And surely it is only a matter of time until broken Xavier Woods, because that's how I feel he should be referred to at the moment, is going to turn on Kofi. Next up, we got a matchup between Lyra Valkyria and Zoe Stark. Zoe Stark getting the victory, but of course she only got the victory because PFC, Pure Fusion Collective, helped out beat down Lyra Valkyria and got a dirty victory. I must admit though, I do love the Z360. That is a devastating maneuver from Zoe Stark. And then of course, after the match was done, as you do, come out and help your friend after they've been beaten down and lost the match. Katana Chance and Caden Carter returned, and I can't really get that enthusiastic about this because they didn't get a great ovation. They came out to crickets, and it's quite sad because I think they're genuinely awesome in-ring performers. And if you look at Zoe Stark and Lyra Valkyria, they are so good in the ring. Zoe Stark arguably is one of the most underutilized and underrated female wrestlers on the roster. And if she could brush up on her mic skills or maybe get a mouthpiece along her, she'd go places. And I feel Lyra Valkyria is wasted as well. Like, where's she gone? She got to the finals of the Queen of the Ring, beating, of course, along the way Zoe Stark, this being a rematch in that. And now it's like, where are they going? Like, the fans aren't invested. It just feels a little bit meh to me. But what do you think? Now, I have to title this next segment Backstage Creepers. We've got to have a whole segment now on Wiz Reviews in regards to people creeping around in the backstage. We saw it on 3 occasions. Actually, I think there was more than that, but ones that I can remember were, first and foremost, in the Bron Breakker Gunther stare down, we had Xavier Woods in the background, seemingly talking to Kofi Kingston or maybe somebody else. We also saw Karrion Kross in the background when Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston were chatting backstage. And we'll come on to Karrion Kross in a moment. And we also saw a mysterious figure in the background in the Sami Zayn segment, with also the Wyatt door in the background too, which segues nicely into the wyattsicks, because of course yet again we got another wyattsicks promo. It was short, it was sharp, it was brief, but then we got a link to a QR code which was in a lot more depth. But the promo went a little bit like this. Titled, "Do Not Force Our Hand. We see your intent, anger festering into rage. Do not go down this path. It ends in your demise. You know better. Do not force our hand. Heed our admonition." And then cue the QR code. Yet again, of course, another QR code. Now, this QR code was ridiculously in depth. There were like 10 links, which for me, it's just a little bit too much. Like, I'm not an actual detective and I don't want to spend 30 hours dissecting every single code, because I think the path is actually very, very clear. Yes, with the QR code, there was some links to external links to previous YouTube videos. We got Bray Wyatt's return at Extreme Rules, and of course the menacing debut of the wyattsicks faction. So that was really, really cool. Subtle links, a load of cryptic clues along the way. Now, I don't want to go too much into the QR code. I want to present what is in front of us. What do we actually see? Now, from this promo, at the very, very end, we got this figure pop up. This unveiling, I suppose, if you like, of the bride. And of course, that appears to be Nikki Cross. Surely that is Nikki Cross's face, right? But I think WWE, in a way, are trying to make you deceive what you're visually seeing. Last week, of course, we saw what we perceived to potentially be the Lily doll, Alexa Bliss's Lily doll, but we weren't sure. And now this week, we're like, is that Nikki Cross? We're pretty certain it is. But also, is it a distorted version of Nikki Cross, sort of combination between Alexa? Now, for me personally, I don't think anybody else is involved other than Braun Strowman and Alexa Bliss. And I think this message from the wyattsicks is to Braun Strowman. And I would not be surprised in a million years if he actually had an original invitation to the wyattsicks, but at that point turned it down, and maybe they're reevaluating that. And now they're a family, they can present again an invitation for Braun into the wyattsicks once more. I mean, why have that segment at the end of the segment with that figure? Because, of course, that's an obvious parallel to Extreme Rules, the swamp fight match between Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt, where we saw a segment with Alexa Bliss portraying Sister Abigail, inviting Braun Strowman into the family. Of course, he rejected it at the time. There's so many combinations here that we could go down a complete rabbit hole. But one thing that's consistent is there is a connection between Braun and Alexa. There's been Alexa teases. It's fair to speculate, right? There's been Braun teases, these references to brother. So put the two together, you've got to connect Alexa and Braun. Now, where this is going to take us, we don't know. We're just going to have to strap ourselves in and go along for the ride. But I just do not find it any coincidence that you've got a backstage figure next to the Wyatt door that appears to be Nikki Cross. And that figure looks very similar to Nikki Cross. Even the hair length is down to what we'd see as the regular version of Nikki Cross, stripping away the Sister Abigail persona that she's been portraying as part of the wyattsicks. Now, we know Alexa Bliss had an invitation via Uncle Howdy. He opened the door. She must be the one to walk through it. And on the same night, we hear that Damage Control have challenged Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill for the Tag Team Championships. We've seen the Pluto logo on numerous occasions in the background of both of those teams. It can't be a coincidence. There definitely is a connection with Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss here, and I would not be surprised if we see the return of Alexa Bliss and a reunion between Nikki and Alexa. I really would not be surprised. Alexa Bliss has portrayed Sister Abigail. Nikki Cross believes she is Sister Abigail. I don't think this is connected to anyone else other than Braun Strowman. And I think this is also connected to Alexa Bliss. And I think our eyes are looking elsewhere. I think we're looking at targets such as Karrion Kross and Xavier Woods and The Miz, who we'll come on to in a moment. When actually, this has been consistent all along. And the target or ally is Braun Strowman. And there's a connection and link here to Alexa Bliss. What do you think? Get down in the comments section, share your thoughts and opinions. Now, what else did we see on this show? Where do we even start here, right? We also saw, of course, a confrontation between Drew McIntyre and CM Punk. The last one, hopefully the last one ever, of course, before their Hell in a Cell matchup at this year's Bad Blood. This feud needs to come to an end. It's going to come to an end, and we cannot wait. Of course, you had Drew McIntyre in black and CM Punk in white. The typical good guy, bad guy sort of thing. But when I saw CM Punk in white, it always gives me flashbacks to Seth Rollins' 2015 SummerSlam attire, all in white, kind of Power Ranger-esque. I don't know why, whenever I see a performer all in white, it just throws me back to that. Again, I don't know why, it just does. A really, really good promo. CM Punk basically saying that Drew McIntyre doesn't need to pray to God. He doesn't need to pray to the devil. He needs to pray to CM Punk himself. CM Punk has basically promised that he will send Drew McIntyre all the way back to Scotland in a box. Drew McIntyre absolutely slated CM Punk, said that he's been back a year and 4 months of that he's been injured and he's going to send him away permanently. Drew McIntyre does not give a damn. He's brought out that evil side and he will stop at nothing to end CM Punk. But let's hurry up and get to the actual match, which I'm super excited about, but I want this feud to be done and dusted. Never want to see the bracelet again, CM Punk's bracelet, and just do away with it. And I think this could have the potential to deliver a 5-star match. Honestly, I think this is going to be so, so good. We also saw the triumphant return of R-Truth in a backstage segment. He came out, got in the way of a segment between, of course, Braun Strowman and The Miz. The Miz trying to get his point across as to why Braun Strowman attacked him last week. Braun Strowman wasn't hearing any of it, walked away, and that set up a certain major twist of events, I suppose you could say, later on in the night, which we'll get to in a moment. The Judgment Day defeated LWO, and of course they could only get that done with the help of that dastardly heel in, of course, Liv Morgan. Those heels could literally poke somebody's eyes out, honestly. But of course it was going to be Liv to cost LWO. Wasn't particularly bothered about that match. Of course, Judgment Day were going to win to keep that momentum. Rhea Ripley came out. She was just about to shut Dominic Mysterio in the shark cage before Liv Morgan came to the rescue. And of course, the rest of the Judgment Day beat down the Terror Twins, stood tall, and basically proved that they win when it comes to the numbers games, right? We got Kofi Kingston versus Chad Gable, but this time it wasn't Kofi Kingston that was the wrongdoing here. It was Xavier Woods. Just as Kofi Kingston had the match wrapped up, was going to deliver the Trouble in Paradise, Xavier Woods grabbed the foot of Chad Gable and cost him the match. Xavier Woods cost Kofi this time. Kofi wasn't happy. So what about a turn of events? What if Kofi turned on Xavier? That would be a twist to the tail, wouldn't it? Can't see it, but never say never. We got a promo between Sami Zayn and Gunther, but this time Sami Zayn was able to poke the bear enough to eventually play Gunther at his own game, and Sami Zayn would refer to Gunther's dad. That would snap Gunther. He wants the match. Now, we're going to get the match now between Sami Zayn and Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship next week as well. I think we know this doesn't end well for Sami. Now, of course, because of R-Truth, we got R-Truth and The Miz, the Awesome Truth, versus AOP. And of course, AOP got the victory, but not how we expected. We saw a Miz heel turn, seemingly out of nowhere, to the delight of Karrion Kross, and it was a good night for Karrion Kross. He's seemingly getting Xavier Woods to turn to that dark side. He was very, very happy to see Miz turn to that dark side. Is the vision starting to become clear when it comes to Karrion Kross? And of course, we've got to conclude this week's Wiz Reviews Raw with the main event. the last monster standing match between, of course, Bronson Reed and Braun Strowman. This did not disappoint, so much to the point where we actually saw the ring explode, the ring break. There were officials getting thrown left, right and centre. There were barricades getting destroyed. There were bodies getting launched like human missiles. Honestly, it was carnage, but it certainly delivered. It feels like WWE's Die Hard version of Die Hard, all in one segment. Two monsters battling it out. Goliath versus Goliath in a match where, to be honest, I wouldn't mind seeing a rematch at like next year's WrestleMania. I honestly think they could carry it that far. Not in terms of this feud going on that long. Definitely we're going to see some separation between the two for now, especially after what we saw at the end. But down the line, they could revisit it. I wouldn't mind it. But that wasn't the talk of the town. The talk of the town was, of course, the return of Seth freaking Rollins. Curb stomp on Bronson Reed. Cost him the match. I love it. It protects Bronson Reed. Still makes him look strong. And wow, what a reception from Seth Rollins. The crowd went absolutely nuts. Brilliant finale to Raw. Fantastic Raw overall. I enjoyed this probably. I'd say this is probably one of my top 5 shows of Raw this year. Maybe they're proving a point as to keeping the 3-hour format, because this delivered. This could have gone 4 or 5 hours. It would have still delivered. And that was this week. What about next week? We're going to get Sheamus versus Pete Dunne in a good old-fashioned Donnybrook match. We're going to get Jey Uso versus Xavier Woods for the IC title. And we're going to get Sami Zayn versus Gunther. This is going to deliver left, right and centre, just like this week. And of course, we got more progressions of the Wyatt Six. What's going to happen next? What did you think about all of that? And what did you think about the show in general? Because I thought this was close to... I think I'm going to give it 9 out of 10. I honestly think it was that good. What do you think? Get down in the comments section, share your thoughts and opinions, and as always, it'd be very much appreciated if you could like the video, share the video, and even better, subscribe if you're new. We'll catch you in the next one.